Does drinking Elivar relate to fast running? We've been working with Elivar recently, testing their product, and what we're going to be doing over these next few slides is looking at whether the product was effective. We know athletes are competitive, they strive to find ways to go quicker. Commercial activity has helped meet this demand by bringing a whole range of different sports drinks, supplements, equipment modification, and numerous self-help books. It's really important to have an independent test of the effectiveness of these products. So what we've been doing is testing some of these. We've worked with a company called Audio Fuel and another company called Lumilight, and produced two publications which show that we have tested their products. They've been put to peer review, which is the most fierce and difficult way to have your work scrutinized by other academics, and publishing it in that format is a really good way of saying that the findings, if they work, are good findings. So what was the method? Well, we've got a product that is designed to help endurance performance, but we wanted to get lots of data, find out what's going on. So we did 6 times 800 meter repetitions over 8 different weeks, and we switched Elivar and water from one week to the next, so that any improvements couldn't just be due to just improvements in fitness. We started out with 12 participants, but only 5 completed, and then lots of reasons for that. Poor weather, injury, family issues, and so on. But we have a data sheet containing 327 800 meter performances, which is a really big amount of data. Participants were experienced runners, having completed half marathons, 2 had completed regular competing marathons, and the data were collected at the University of Wolverhampton. What I would say is that the data were not collected in sunny conditions such as those on the photo. The data were collected in rainy, cold and windy conditions such as is in the UK over November, January, December and into March. So participants warmed up, typically around 2 kilometers. We fitted heart rate monitors beforehand, and before each 800 repetition, participants completed a short measure of mood. Participants ran alone, which is really important because we know that being paced is a way of making it feel much easier, although we would say that there are others on the track, but they were not running at exactly the same time. Participants had 2 minutes recovery between each 800 meter repetition to get a measure of their concentration ability and the extent to which Elivar might help concentration ability to be able to make good decisions, which is really important in endurance events. We gave them something called a Stroop test. A Stroop test is a measure of self-control. You have to be able to override one response to another. So what we have on the left is a shape-based Stroop test, and so you've got a blue triangle, a green square. As what you can see here is the shape and the colour are the same, so it's dead easy. This is the control condition. What we have next to that is one where we have to override the response, so we'd have to say that is red and the word says purple, that is blue although the word says yellow, and so on. So you have to override what you're looking at, and we would time that, and the idea is to go as fast as possible. So what we were looking to see is if drinking Elivar led to faster thinking times than drink when you were on the water condition. So let us look at some of the results. In terms of 800 meter times, on average, and there's lots of data here, is the Elivar conditions produce a faster running time. So there's faster running time. Let's look at the Stroop test. Is that drinking Elivar is associated with faster times to complete the Stroop test, so they went quicker, they made effective decisions quicker. So that's a good result from Elivar in terms of they go faster at running and they go faster at the Stroop test. But some of the things that influence that, when we look at the individual differences in running performance, we've got a huge difference in one athlete smaller differences in the others, and one athlete who actually performed worse on the Elivar condition, which is important because you magnify this and you'll find that some people react much differently to others. And ideally what you'd like to know is who are the people and why do people benefit so much, and or why do people not appear to gain the benefits. And there will be reasons for that. We haven't unpacked those reasons in this part, but we will be looking to some of those in later studies. Then when we look at the heart rate, what we find is in the Elivar condition that participants had a higher heart rate than in the water condition, which in other words they're working a bit harder. And again, this is an interesting finding. It says that although they're going quicker, they were going quicker, but it was at a greater physical cost. So they might have been running quicker in the Elivar condition, and that's worth bearing in mind because it might well be that they felt more confident and can push harder. That's a really good thing. But but it also might well be an indicator that they may run out or run out of energy in the latter part of an event, or find it quite difficult because they were trying too hard too early. We would need to, of course, repeat that so we have even more 800-meter reps, but we weren't necessarily expecting a higher heart rate in the Elivar condition. But it's generally positive: faster times, running times, faster thinking times, some individual differences, but a higher heart rate. But that might well be that people are prepared to push themselves. That might well be a good thing. So what are the implications? Elivar associated with faster running, faster thinking time, but a higher heart rate. Possibly because people had more energy. Might be to do with more confidence, stronger beliefs, and these are really important components of performance. So really believing that you can go hard is a really important thing. If knowing that you've got Elivar, knowing that some supplement is coming, knowing that some supplement is coming that works, you're going to take that on board, may be really helpful in terms of being able to perform to your best. The ability to execute a race plan is really important. So this was a really interesting finding, that we had quicker thinking time. So it helps. Elivar appears to help people make faster and accurate decisions. That's a really important feature of these set of results, because it says that if you take some of these drinks on, you're less likely to make a poor decision later on in the race. You've got more energy, make a better decision, you'll be able to pace it right. That could be really beneficial for people right on the edge of achieving their personal bests. So what next? Well, we've got some diary-based studies of people's experiencing using the product in the build-up to important competition. It'd be nice to unpack the thoughts and feelings and of people during important events where they really do need energy. We've got the data from the Stroop test, of course, which says that people are clearer thinking, but that isn't a test that people are really where performance is really important. So by taking people's experiences in races which really matter, and when they've used Elivar, we should be able to get some insight into what's going on. We collected some mood data, but we haven't really analysed this in any great depth, and part of the reason is sometimes the mood data starts quite unpleasant because people have had some difficult day already, or difficult day the previous day, or just genuinely grumpy. But it does make a difference, and you start off in one set of mood states that influences this next set of results, and so we don't want to give some misleading information. And really, one of the key things, and I think it'd be really helpful for anybody who's working with athletes who's about to say, why don't you take this product, is to know what the individual differences are and why people respond so much better than others. And if it's a case of how we coach people to use these sports drinks, what we say about them, which means that people use them at the right time, that would be really worth knowing what type of information to give and how to present that. So we're trying to find out the individual differences, and that's the sort of ongoing work we're doing at the moment. I would like to thank you very much for allowing us to test this product. It's been very, very helpful, and hopefully these results are some way beneficial to you also. Thank you very much.